Hello everyone and welcome to my Java programming tutorial. In this video we will talk about selection. So let's get started. We have a boolean type which will return you an answer true and false. So whenever you write your boolean data type, which is boolean b equals to 1 is greater than 2, so it's like a selection. It's returning you whether your answer is correct or not. So if this condition is correct, what will be the result? If this condition is false, then what you will do the further operations. So here we have relational operators: greater than, less than, greater than, equals to, less than, equals to, equals to, and not equals to. So this is like the mathematical symbol. This is in maths how you denote these symbols, but in Java this is how you represent these symbols in Java, like when you are writing a code. So when you have to say something is not equals to something, you use the exclamation mark and equal sign, and when you have to check whether two numbers are equal, you use double equal sign to represent that, as compared to like you do in a single equal in your math. And with the same greater than equals to, you don't write, there is no way to write like this in Java. So you put the greater sign, and then with that symbol you write the equal sign. These are known as relational operators, and these operators are used with your if and else condition. So this is your selection. When you are making a selection, you, just like in your English language, you have those terms like if it will rain, I will not go to school. If it's not rain, then I will go to school. So there you have your if condition. So same goes over here, that if clause is there. So when you are using that if, it means you have a condition. If this thing happens, then I will do or print these lines. So same in Java over here, we represent with the flowchart. You have a diamond symbol which displays as true and false. You write the condition. So if the condition is true, print this. If the condition is false, do this thing. So this is your if statement. When you are using your if, Java is case sensitive. It's small letters if, and then you are using round brackets and then curly braces and ending curly braces. If you are using single statement to present, it will be one. You don't have to use the curly braces. Okay, so this is what we have. And when you are writing your if condition, as you can see, this is wrong. There are no round brackets. So your condition must go in the round bracket, which is parenthesis. And then as you can see, this statement and this statement is quite similar. But what you have over here, which is highlighted in yellow, in this if condition, there is no necessary that you have to use these curly braces, because you have single statement to print. When you have single statement, there is no restriction that you have to use the curly brace. Let's move forward. What we have is, write a program that prompts the user to enter an integer if the number is a multiple of 5. Print high 5. If the number is divisible by 2, print high even. So let's take a look what we have. Let's create a class. Let's open Eclipse, and in my source folder I will be right click, new, and I will create a class, and let's say example. And in this class, what I will do is, first of all, writing your main method, public static void main string. So let's get back to our slides, which is write a program that prompts the user to enter an integer. So it means prompt the user to enter an integer. First of all, you have to take input from user. To take input from user, there are a couple of steps. First step is you have to import java.util.star and semicolon. So what we are doing is, this is dot. Import java.util.star and semicolon. We are importing Java utility package, which is already built in Java. .star means all the folders in this utility package. So there are a couple of things which we may use in future. For example, math class, we use random class. So all these are in the utility package. Instead of doing dot scanner like this, if I remove dot and I say scanner like this, so you can also do this thing. And it will only include or import the scanner class. So if you have to use random as well in your code, then you have to write another import statement, and that is like taking number of lines in your code, which you want to avoid. So .star means all the folders, so that you don't have to worry about the import packages. This is the first statement when you have to take input from user, because we are using scanner to take input from user. So Java is case sensitive. Scanner is a class in Java, capital S. Give it a name as input equals to new scanner and system.in. As you have seen, when we print, we write system.out, And now we have to take input, so we are writing system.in. So scanner is a class in Java. New represent that we are creating an object of scanner. So this input is not a variable, this is an object, and you can name it anything. I have named it as input so that my code is readable. When I read my code, I know that this scanner is used to take input from the user. And to take input, first thing you have to do is display a message. So when you have to display an integer, so we are asking user to enter an integer, so that when you run your code, the first thing to display is enter an integer, so that user know what I have to enter. And how you are using this scanner for, as we are taking an integer, so we will store that value into an int variable. Int, let's say num equals to, I will call this object whatever you have named it. So if right now I have named it as input, if you are naming it as console, values, anything you want to name it, you have to use the same name over here, and you have to say input dot next int. So to take input value, as an integer, it will be dot next int. So this variable is holding my num, so whatever the value user has entered, this num is holding that value. So this is the statement to take input value from as an integer from user. Let's go back to the slide and read our question again. And it says write a program that prompts the user to enter an integer. We are done with this part. Now we have to check if. So in our question, you already have that if thing, so it means you have to use if condition. So if the number is a multiple of 5, print high 5. If the number is divisible by 2, print high even. So multiple of 5 and divisible by 2. So how you can check if a number is multiple of 5? So what we will do is, first of all, it means we are using if num mod 5 equals to 0, it means this number is a multiple of 5, right? So what we have to do is we are printing, so if this condition is true, if this is equals to 0, system.out.print high 5 semicolon. And now we have another if. So as you can read your statement back again, it says another if. So if the number is divisible by 2, print high even. It means we have to check the same number again for the division of 2. So if num mod 2 equals to 0, and system.out.println will say high even and semicolon. So that's it for this code, for this example. Now run your code and let's see what we have. So you can enter any number and see. So you have two multiple if conditions. So there may be a case for one number, it may not run for both of the statements. For one number, it will run for both or one of them. So let's type 5 and it represents high 5. So number is divisible by 5, it printed high 5. Number mod 2 is not equals to 0, so answer is high. So this statement didn't run, so we just have one output. So let's run again and enter a number. Let's say enter, so we have 2 which is high even. So 2 is not divisible by 5, first one didn't run. Let's enter 3. As I entered 3, so there is no output for 3. It means 3 is not mod of 5 and it's not mod 2 equals to 0. So that's why you don't have any output for 3. So let's say 20, and now for 20 you have both of the outputs, high 5 and high even. So that's it for if and else, just if, what we can do with the if condition. And let's go back to the slide again, and now we have two way of if condition. So that was just if. So if that condition is true, just as you can see, when we entered 3, there was no output. So that is not a good way as a client, right? When I entered 3, I need to see some output, like whether what was wrong with my value. So here we have else part. So if the condition is not true, no matter what, your else will run. So this is two-way if, second name we use it. So if the condition is true, print this statement. If the condition is false, print this statement. So this is how you do else as well. If else, one of the example is listed over here. So if the radius is greater than or equals to 0, print the area of a circle. Otherwise, just say display a message that negative input, wrong input, enter this value or enter a positive number, so that user know what I am doing wrong. In the same way in your Eclipse, over here, in the same example, what we can do is, over here in else, I can display system.out.println number is not divisible by 5, right? Like this. And then after this if as well, I can put an else that maybe this number is not divisible by 2 as divisible by 2. It can be any number. You can test your code for any number. You can set your own condition. You can say my condition is your number must be divisible by 7, 8, 9, any numbers you can pick. This is just an example to tell you how the multiple if and if and else work. So let's run our code now and let's enter 3. So now you have your number is not divisible by 5 and your number is not divisible by 2. Your code is now more readable as a client. Client again is the user who is running your code. Okay, so this is one way. So when you have multiple if, that is also correct, that is not wrong. And then you have if and else where you are giving 2 options. So from the real life, I would say the example for if and else will be, as you can see, when you enter your password on Facebook. So if your password is wrong, it will display you a message that wrong password, right? Whenever you enter a wrong password, it display that wrong password. If your password is correct, it will take you to the home page, right? So this is how your if and else condition works. Now you have multiple if scenario. This is one way of that scenario, like nested. This is a little messy. Never ever I will going to recommend you to go this way. If you have multiple if condition and you only want one condition to run, this is the best way. This is else if. So as most of you are coming from Python, in Python you have elif. Elif is in Python. In Java you have else if, space if, and then parentheses, and you have to put those parentheses, and there is no semicolon at the end of if or at the end of else if. Okay, so don't put any semicolons at the end, you will get compiler error. This is how your else if work when you have multiple conditions. So for example, just the same condition you have in front when you have when you are grading something. So you have condition if your score is greater than 90, your grade is A. If your score is greater than 80, your score will be B. Else if. So in this scenario, only one of the else if will going to run. Not if this condition is true, your code will stop on the very first line. It will display A and it will never going to check rest of the statements. If this is false, if condition, it will go to the second else if. It will check this. If this is wrong, then to the third. So your cursor or your compiler is only moving to the next else if when this is wrong. If one of them is correct, it will just stop at that point and print. If none of these are correct, at the end it will display F. So no matter what, your else will run if none of those conditions are true at the top. Okay, so that's it for else if. This is a proper way, as you can see, a flow chart. So if your score is greater than, we represent conditions in the diamond shaped box and statements in a rectangular shaped box. So in diamond shaped box, you can see all the conditions. So if score is greater than equals to 90, only you are moving to the next condition when you have a false scenario. If you have a true scenario, your code will terminate by displaying the statement associated with it. Okay, that's it for the else if part. You can refer to else if and if else, and you combine. We usually combine all these 3 things when we are working on large scale projects or when you are working on your programming problem. And you have to identify whether you need if and else or multiple if, or you need if else if scenario. This is very important to identify, and you can only identify when you know how those things are working. So this is how your code is tracing. And we will move on to the next code in our next video. That's it for this video. Thank you. Bye-bye.